Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome back to the Jello Jiggling podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and we are officially at the 20th episode of this, which is kind of wild. I never thought I would really dive deep into these kind of things, especially with most of these episodes being without guests, at least for the time being. I would love to have a guest on every week, but I wanted to get in the groove of doing this for a while because it's really hard to talk for about 20 minutes to half an hour straight, just yourself, with just topics coming off, your head or a list of things you have. But anyway, here we are. And I want to say, first off, rest in peace, Bill Walton. I guess he died today at the age of 71 after a battle with cancer, which he seems to have kept under wraps, which is a lot of respect for that. That's, my mom's battling cancer as well, and I know how hard that whole situation can be. But man, what a bright light was extinguished today. That guy just brightened up every room he ever was in. And I never had the privilege of meeting him. I tried to get an interview once, I don't know, like 5 years ago. He was doing some kind of event, and I was sending email after email, and I never got a response. But it was through some organization, so I'm not totally surprised. But either way, I was kind of bummed not to get a chance to talk to him. But I do have a memory when I was covering the Lakers back when Luke Walton was the head coach, his son, obviously. It was after a game. I can't remember who the Lakers played or whether or not they won. But it was a rough time, Luke taking over, and the team wasn't good. It was just the beginning of a rebuilding phase. Anyway, it was after the game. I go into the press room afterwards, which is traditional. Like after every game, the first thing that we do is we go straight into the press room. And we wait for the coach to come and talk. It's usually a kind of a quick experience, depending on the coach. Luke was a bit long-winded, so sometimes it would take some time. But that's besides the point. We go in there. There wasn't a lot of media covering at that time because, like I said, the Lakers weren't good. Even though the Lakers always get a lot of attention, a lot of media members decided to, cover the Clippers or cover, some other team at that time. So it wasn't like a jam-packed, press room all the time, which was kind of nice at the time, especially when I was getting my feet wet still, going every day and all that stuff, or every game. But I remember going in, sitting, I don't know, I always kind of took the back seats on the first row on the left, the first couple rows or whatever. And I look over to the right and I see this giant purple shirt. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of, and on this huge human being. And I'm looking, I was like, oh, that's Bill Walton. And Bill Walton's just sitting there with his arms crossed, this huge smile on his face from ear to ear. Luke's not even in the room yet. And then he comes in, and the tension's on the back of the room. It just was hard to miss him. He's this giant 7-foot guy. He just exuded this kind of happiness. Like he was content no matter where he was. It was kind of crazy and pretty cool, actually. And I just thought it was a cool moment. I don't remember him saying anything. I remember, people pointing it out, and I think Luke pointed it out. But he exuded kind of pride. He was so proud of his son for becoming a head coach. And I know Luke kind of flamed out kind of quick, and I think, I always feel for the first timers when they coach the Lakers, because you're kind of doomed to fail unless your name's Pat Riley or Phil Jackson. You don't have much time coaching that team, especially if you're not successful. And Luke wasn't successful. And I don't think he's got another head coaching gig since. I think he's an assistant somewhere. I don't even know where at this point. It might be Sacramento. I'm not sure. Oh wait, no, he did. I think he did get another coaching gig. Man, that was so long ago. Anyway, I just thought it was cool. You could just feel just how proud he was of his son. He couldn't wipe the smile off his face, and I guess that's kind of what everybody's been saying. Like, no matter where he went, he just was just a happy dude. Just content with life. Even though, he's one of those unfortunate NBA stories that, like, if he stayed healthy, he would have been incredible. He won a title with Portland back in 70s, I think. And then I think he was the MVP at that time. And then he just a string of injuries, just one after the other. And then he got another chance to win a title with the Boston in '86, I believe, with Bird and McHale and all those guys. And he played a big role on that team. But he just couldn't stay healthy. He was, it's just what a sad story, because he was dominant when he was. He was an incredible passer. I mean, I've watched some of the highlights from the Celtics from that year, and him and Bird were just on the same page all the time. And Bird was an incredible passer. And those two were just, connected. And McHale too. But I just thought I'd put that out there because I thought that was, kind of a cool story. And I wish I would have gotten to talk to him, even if just one time, But anyway, breaking into Lakers news, and I would say the biggest news of the week is Rich Paul kind of letting it slip that, well, he just came out and said, I think they were doing some alt cast or something I never watch. Funny enough, I mean, I watch that all the time in the NFL with the Manning brothers, but I never watch it with the NBA. I just don't find it appealing enough, I guess. Beside the point, Rich Paul was on game 2, I want to say, of Mavericks Timberwolves, and I think he was asked about LeBron, and he just came out and said that LeBron's a free agent. He's technically not yet anyway. He has to opt out of his deal, his last year of his deal with the Lakers, and he has until June 29th, my birthday, to do that. And he's going to do it. I mean, Rich Paul, just came out and said it. He's going to do it because it makes business sense, right? He's not going to opt in to a year where the Lakers could just trade him if they wanted to. He's going to opt out and most likely re-sign with the Lakers in a 2 or 3 year deal. Massive. I think somebody said like $60 million he'll be making per year, which I believe is what AD signed, or something close to it. Anyway, thought that was interesting because the way he said it was just like so kind of matter of fact, but at the same time, like him or Paul and LeBron have both not said like after the season said like, oh yeah, we're gonna opt out and we're gonna return to the Lakers. Top priority is just returning. There hasn't been any. They've left this like kind of open space, this kind of like, well, maybe we won't come back kind of sense, which obviously gets, the media churning and start putting out stuff, rumors. I think there was a rumor that came out that the Sixers are interested in signing him if they can, if they got a chance to do that. I think their top target is Paul George, but if that falls through, say Paul George resigns with the Clippers, then they'll go after LeBron full bore. But I find that strange because I don't think LeBron's going to take a long time to sign his deal. So that's all going to happen very fast. And then who's the other team? Phoenix. Phoenix came out of nowhere. out of nowhere, saying that they could draft Bronny in the first round, which is crazy, with the 22nd overall pick. I know it's supposedly a weak draft, but come on, dude. This kid's barely an NBA player, and you're going to take him 22nd. But it might be with the caveat that they can bring in LeBron. But I think LeBron would have to take or the minimum to sign there, which is kind of wild. I mean, he's a billionaire. He doesn't need the money. But if he is intent on buying an NBA franchise, or like the one supposedly that's going to be in Vegas in a few years, then he kind of needs to make all the money he can. And that's not very difficult for LeBron, but it's going to be difficult if he's making the minimum in Phoenix. But that would be, I guess, kind of a move. I mean, that's a desperation move by Phoenix for one, because it hasn't worked out with KD, Beal, and Booker so far. And, they're probably just desperate to right that ship because they've invested so much that they would try and go out. I mean, that's just kind of a hell of a pitch, and maybe, drafting Bronny at that, time in the draft, he'll make more money. He'll probably have a chance to get playing time, even though everybody says he's a project. He needs to be developed in the G League. So I think that's interesting. I mean, you got Phoenix and Philly both putting some pressure on the Lakers. I mean, especially Phoenix, if, LeBron signs there, I'm going to see him quite a bit. So might be a regrettable thing if they don't re-sign him, but I don't know. I feel like a lot more is going to come out between now and the 29th of next month. Other destinations, once the finals are over and the season's officially over, I think things will get a little nuts, even though they already are friggin' crazy and hard to keep up with. But and Rich Paul also made another statement, which I thought was interesting too, saying that the Lakers should focus more on AD than LeBron at this point, which is painfully obvious. I mean, just for the sake of age, right? LeBron turned 40 in December, and AD still, I don't know how old is AD. I want to say 33, but I could be wrong. Just a moment. 31. Just turned 31 in March. So obviously, you want to go with a guy who's 9 years younger, arguably in his prime, coming off probably his best season outside of 2020 in LA. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. But it's just a funny thing to say from an agent. I mean, he's an agent for both guys, so it's a win-win for Rich Paul regardless. But it just sounds like they might be laying the groundwork to leave, kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm not quite sure. I just don't know. I mean, none of us know. Maybe LeBron doesn't even know. Either way, there are some other things that came out, like an NBA exec. This is via Heavy Sports. Said that the Lakers should try and trade for Michael Porter Jr. I thought that was a little strange. All this stuff is strange, but Porter Jr. is a great player, but I think he's kind of the perfect fit for Denver, not so much for LA. He's a perfect example of a hot and cold guy. When he's hot, I mean, he can win you games, and he can help you destroy the other team because he's big, he's versatile, and he can shoot, right? But when he goes cold, he's basically a non-factor. And I think that kind of showed against Minnesota. I mean, he was huge against the Lakers, and then he just kind of disappeared against Minnesota. So I don't really get that, especially what are you going to give up for it? Is Denver really going to want to work with the Lakers? Would they even look to move him? I don't understand why Denver would do that. They're kind of good as they're constructed, as the roster is currently constructed. But who knows? I mean, somebody leaked that for a reason, so I don't know. Maybe that's Maybe he wants out. I doubt it. I couldn't see that. I don't think any of those guys in Denver want out. They know they're in a good situation. But something to pay attention to. And then I thought there was another interesting report that Eric Pincus, a guy from Bleacher Report, with another news drop. Pincus bomb. He said that D'Lo was almost traded at the deadline to Brooklyn in a three-way deal, which would have brought Dejounte Murray to LA. And I don't know what the whole compensation thing was, but that was like obviously the core of it. And then when that fell through, Schroeder went to Brooklyn. Did find that a little interesting. I think the Lakers tried really hard to get Dejounte, and it just Atlanta just wasn't budging for whatever reason. Atlanta could be one of those teams that's really difficult to deal with because look how long it took to get John Collins traded to Utah, for Christ's sake. I mean, that took years, literal years, to come together. He was in trade rumors every single year, and it just never came to fruition for whatever reason. But I thought that was interesting. I mean, they've obviously got some kind, a connection there, or like, a conversation that can easily be sparked up again. And I'm sure it will. I'm sure Palenka will reach out and be like, okay, what do you want for trade? What do you want for Dejounte? And figure out what's the best way to go. I honestly think that once trade dropped Clutch Sports, that he's not an option anymore, especially if LeBron's coming back and, it's all still run by Clutch. Then why would they bring in a guy who just said, screw you, Clutch? I'm going with CAA. It doesn't make much sense. But, like I said, another thing to keep an eye on. Atlanta's been Atlanta and Cleveland have been the two teams that everybody's been talking about pretty much ever since the deadline about what's going to happen with the team. Like, is Donovan Mitchell going to sign his extension? If he doesn't, where is he going to go? Like, obviously, if the team can't get him to sign an extension, then it's just, him basically saying, yeah, I'm leaving when I become a free agent. So logically, they have to make the move or else they're going to lose him for nothing. So see how that goes. And the Darius Garland thing, that on top of it, Jared Allen, we'll see where that goes. That one thing was interesting. I heard that or read that the Sparks Indiana Fever game was quite interesting because they sold out Staples. I'm not calling it crypto, damn it. Staples, I think it was 19,000 people, and it was more. I don't know how this is possible because the Lakers always say they sell out, right? But maybe they opened up more seats or something. But 19,000 people at a WNBA game. That's crazy. And I think that's cool as shit. That is so cool that this is happening and it's actually flowing the way it's flowing. I mean, obviously, Caitlin Clark's got a huge part in this. But I thought what she said after the game was cool too. She is a huge Kobe fan and was wearing his kicks. I think the Kobe 5s, Bruce Lee version, which I think are pretty cool. But this is the quote she has said on Kobe being an inspiration for her. I guess that's just the mentality you have to have as a competitor. It's just you want those moments. You want to embrace those moments when your team needs a big shot. I was able to create a little separation, get the shot off. They won this game against the Sparks, by the way. Would have been nice to hit a few more of those tonight. Yes, I think she only scored 10 points. I think she had 11 assists and 8 rebounds. So she came pretty damn close to a triple-double. But she's been struggling. She hasn't been, she hasn't been knocking it out of the park ever since she got in the game. But she's a rookie. I mean, everybody thinks that she's like some seasoned veteran that's going to score 30, 40 a night with ease. And it's not the case. Give her some time. But I love the impact she's had on this game. It's so cool, man. I mean, it reminds me a lot of MJ. When MJ was hitting his peak, like, it's just everybody was talking about the NBA. Everybody. Even people didn't know anything about basketball. And that's the same. I watched I watched the Fever against the Liberty, I think, and it was her against Sabrina, and I thought it was great basketball. I was expecting like to be cringing a few times, and I wasn't. The passing was incredible, and the shooting was incredible. Those are the two things that impressed me more than anything. I was like, wow, these women can pass and score like the men. I was shocked. I mean, the passing was crisp. They weren't making stupid plays, nothing forced, nothing looked awkward. It just flowed. I was really impressed. So good for them, and I really hope that takes off and it becomes a thing, and it seems it's heading that direction. I just hope the momentum keeps going, and more women get inspired to play, and you get more Caitlin Clarks down the line. Then there's a Redick update. It seems like he's still the front runner, which we keep hearing. And I guess the team's holding off until the end of the finals to make a move. But the latest report is that James Borrego, Sam Cassell, and Jared Dudley are linked to Redick as being assistants that would help, fill out his coaching staff. Which I thought was interesting because two of them are or they're not favorites, but high up there and on the list supposedly of candidates. So it's basically like, oh, well, you guys lost. You guys are second and third. Could just join me. It just seems strange because JD doesn't have his own guys, even though there's a Dudley connection. But and then finally, this playoff series between Timberwolves and Mavs has been crazy. It kind of reminds me of the Nuggets Lakers in the West Finals last year, where every game was competitive, but in the end, Nuggets came out every time. And that just seems to be the case for Dallas. Luka is just insane. Just insane. I mean, people were comparing him to James Harden, and I'm like, are you nuts? The guy, there is no comparison because Harden never came through in the playoffs. Luka has come through time and time again, and he is banged up. I mean, he is not anywhere near 100%. And he is still hitting these giant, huge shots. Like the one over Gobert was insane. And he's just consistent. Just consistency with the guy. So it's looking like Mavs, Celtics in the finals. And obviously, Lakers fans going to be rooting for Luka. And Kyrie. Kyrie's been out of his mind. It's been really cool to see him happy and playing well. Man, when that guy is clicking, he's got one of the smoothest jump shots from outside, inside. I mean, and the way he finishes at the rim, it's just a beautiful game to watch. And his handles, obviously. But obviously, things are getting interesting. Hopefully, there'll be more updates. I mean, it seems like every day some news coming out. So we'll see where this goes for the Lakers and Mavs and Celtics, if that turns out to be the finals. In the meantime, peace.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.